5 on the nose, shall we, everyone?
Yeah, okay, all right. I'd like to call the November 21st, 2023 Library Board meeting in order. We could all stand for the pledge. Oh, it's at 5 o'clock, 5:01. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whitney, if you'd be so kind to take the roll, please.
Right. Gail.
I am here.
All right. Alderperson Schrader. Here. Second, Carrie. Here. All right. Barb. Here. Nancy. Here. Phyllis. Here. All right. Tracy. There. Online. Hello, Tracy. All right. We have a quorum.
Okay. And I'd like you to let us know the status of the statement of public notice, please.
The meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Great, thank you. No one is here for public comment, so assuming we can move on from that agenda item. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, approval of minutes for October 17th, and the October 2023 financials.
I so move.
Thank you, Barbara.
I read, you go.
Okay,
You take it.
They're going to fight over it.
I'm not fighting.
Did you write the second?
Yes, I did. Thank
Okay,
you.
any discussion? Okay, hearing none. I just have two quick ones, hopefully yes or no. The Hoopla usage on page 7 for $874, is that extraordinary? Good? I mean, is that a...
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. It's good in that lots of people are using it and getting access to ebooks and e-audiobooks. I would say it's about standard for what we've been experiencing monthly.
Yeah, okay.
But month over month compared to last year, it's higher.
It's higher.
Which is why Bridges is giving us a higher grant next year to help cover that.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yep.
And then the only other one that I had was I just noticed that the health insurance on page 9 is 15% over budget. Do we have more people taking it? We'll have to budget more next year, or?
That was a known overage that the city's aware of.
Okay.
So,
yep. So we can leave our budget number pretty similar then, unless somebody takes the buyout.
The city calculates that, and they knew on January 1st that this number of 2023 that this number would be over.
So health costs.
Not just ours, but in other city accounts as well. It was just the way it was calculated, so we're good. It was anticipated.
All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. President's report, I have none. Director's report. When you're ready.
I have my report as provided. I will take any questions. Otherwise, we can move on.
It was great to see all the people attending the presentations.
Yes.
Oh, I was surprised.
There have been the Abraham Lincoln, the Ghost of Waukesha, the Harry Houdini. A bunch of those lately have been very popular.
Well, word's getting around. I don't know what's the makeup of the audience, like kind of cross section of ages?
I don't know. I missed
you
all
were
of them.
not.
I'm hoping you're going to
you were just going by the data. Okay.
I can be counted.
Is it generally a cross section, or do you find that it's older people, younger people?
It depends on the topic.
Probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
It does depend on the topic.
Yeah.
You know, like when we did our mocktails one, that was a slightly younger audience. But I would say for the historical presentations, it tends to be a little older.
Yeah, because the price is right, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And if the weather's bad, this is a wonderful place to go. It's cheap, and it's cheap.
Alrighty, that's what I say, the price is right. No unfinished business.
So I wanted to comment just a little bit on, it would be Roman numeral 2 under updates, page 14, like easier for you. We are also discussing a donor wall for larger donations as part of the planned giving process. Now, I remember way back when my husband and I made a donation and we got our name on a brick in that hallway in the front. That's all gone, correct?
Was it a brick or was it a plaque?
Plaque, maybe.
Okay, so when the building was built, there were plaques throughout the building to sponsor different areas, but then also the Friends had plaques for like donations. I don't know if it was the Friends or it was just the general building.
I think it was the
general building. So those plaques are still in the hallway.
They are.
The Friends sort of took over that plaque management for donations, but it's been a little, I would say that there's not a lot of clarity there. Like people have to specifically ask for it. It's not really well advertised. What's that? Oh, yes. Yep. So I've been talking with the Friends about a donor wall for donations of $500 and up. And there's actually some really cool donor walls that look like fake books, wooden books, and then you put people's names on the spine. So we're talking about that.
Yeah, and a donor wall tends to bring in more donations.
Yeah.
People say, oh, Gail's got her, I want my name on the wall. You know, that kind of attitude.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I have some photos. I'm just trying to investigate the execution of it, and I'll then show you guys some photos of it. I think it'll be very exciting for the library.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on Brittany's report? Okay, hearing none. No unfinished business to my knowledge. There's nothing listed on the agenda anyway. So we get to new business, which is discussion/action, approval of annual Bridges Cafe addendum agreement. And that is located, I believe, on page 16. Brittany, any comments?
Yep, so these are numbers that have already been factored into our 2024 operating budget. So when you guys voted to approve that budget, it was taking into account paid to the library, so in the revenue that we're going to get from Waukesha County and from Fairy Lakes Library System and the Hoopla grant from Bridges. So that was factored into our revenue. And then paid by the library, those are expenses that I factored into our operating budget for 2024 from the system to cover our portion along with the other 23 member libraries of databases, the movie license, which the Friends will sponsor, our digital library content, the Advantage program, which gives our patrons preferred access to titles, and then the cafe fee, which is basically the largest cost, and the software that we use to catalog books, check books in, check books out. Basically, it's called an integrated library system, but it's the big software that manages all of the operations, the organization, patron accounts, things like that.
That movie license fee, does that cover 2 movies a month for the whole year?
Yeah, it covers unlimited movies if we want. Like we could do more if we wanted to. So,
okay.
Yep. But I should say it's only movies that are in the license agreement. We can't just show any random movie. There's like basically a list of movies we can choose from, and then we have to show those.
Okay.
So these numbers are built into the budget that you all approved, and then the council approved. So the money's there. We just need to tell Bridges we agree to accept the money and pay the money. So,
What's the Advantage program?
the Advantage program is connected to Libby, the Wisconsin Digital Library content. We have to pay a base fee, which is the $4,122, but then each library in our system puts in additional funds, which we call Advantage funds, to give our patrons the advantage over other people in the state of Wisconsin. So we will prioritize like popular items, and so like lessons in chemistry will get faster to one of our patrons before it goes to somebody in Rhinelander, because we've paid extra for that copy, so it should go to our patrons.
I didn't know it was based on a book. I'm watching it on Apple TV right now.
Yeah,
You haven't read it yet?
Yeah,
No.
you can't keep the book on the shelf, it's very popular.
No.
Boy, oh boy.
Good.
You're the first two people I've met that have.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it until it showed up, and it's a limited series on Apple TV, 8 episodes. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the signing of this agreement.
I move to approve.
There it is. Motion. Any second?
Second.
Thank you, Phyllis. We've had our discussion, unless anybody has any other questions. No? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Do not let me get away tonight.
Right.
Yeah. Alrighty. Oh, forgive me, I guess I'm in charge here. Greenland. All right, so the next item is discussion action, library board study room project update. One of Brittany's favorite topics, I have a feeling.
Yes, I will not go crazy this year is the mantra. So,
Hi, Michelle, by the way.
all right. So let's go to packet page 18. But I will also show it up here. And let's see if I can share it on Zoom too. Can I do all of this? Share screen, PowerPoint, share. Michelle, can you see my PowerPoint? Yes? Okay, great.
And Tracy, just keep your eye on the road.
Yeah.
Yes, I will verbalize everything, Tracy, don't you worry. All right, so, without reading this entire slide, you may have noticed that we don't have a renovated bathroom and we don't have study rooms at this current point in November. And staff are very familiar with my rants as I go up and down the hall about the various complexities of these two projects. I just want you to know that these projects were started very early in the year, starting in February, and they have been worked on throughout the year. So I wanted to showcase, so this is a blending of the two projects, and while we're just talking about the study rooms, I thought it would be helpful to note, because they were carried together for a while, because I was trying to be efficient with how we were bidding the projects, to try to get more bidders if they saw two projects in the same building. That did not work out for me. But this required a lot of building of bid documents, contracts, conversations with architects, contractors, DPW. There was bid periods, so we had to wait, all that kind of stuff. And so I just as of yesterday, I now have, I think, the final thing that I need from the bathroom contractor. And as long as the city attorney says that we have that final waiver that we need, then we can sign the contract and get started on that. Move on. So that's with that. But we're here to talk about study rooms today. And so when we didn't get a bid on the study rooms, I went back to the city attorney and said, can I just start shopping around for contractors? And he said, nope, we have to take it back out to bid because of public bidding law. I started to get concerned. I started talking to some contractors, and they basically said, it's a smaller project, and so you didn't have construction documents, so we don't want this to be a design build. They wanted construction documents provided to them, like we did with the bathroom project. That cost a lot of money. That was money that I was not hoping to have to spend, because my interpretation was that the study rooms were more simplistic in their construction, and I could just do a design build. So that didn't work out. But then I started to get concerned about, are we still in budget with that, knowing that we needed to buy construction documents. So I went to an architect and I said, what would it cost to get construction documents, and what do you think it would cost to build the study rooms now? Because of course when I asked for the money, it was back in May of last year. I did ask the contractor for an inflation percentage, and they gave that to me, but it didn't work out.
And tomorrow it will be more expensive.
Yeah.
And the day after that, more expensive.
So I got a number.
Even though inflation supposedly is going down.
It's not.
The number was higher than what our project total is, $75,000. I thought maybe I just got unlucky, so I went and I spoke to a second architect and contractor, and they almost gave me the exact same number. So the new number, I believe, to build study rooms is $102,165.
How many study rooms?
For 3.
3?
And of course, it requires HVAC and fire suppression. That's the complicated part of it. The walls and the doors are not the complicated part of it. We have really tall ceilings, so pulling the fire suppression down from the taller portions of the ceilings. But I have some solutions for us. So this is the sad part of it, but we're going to get to a better state, hopefully. So where are we at? So our first option is to continue to pursue the built study rooms. The cost of them, that $102,165 is a high-level estimate. That is as much information as I could get for free, right? Talking to a contractor, he was very kind. He reached out to our local fire suppression people, HVAC people. He drew together some numbers and ideas, but he didn't do the schematic design and he didn't do the plans. And so this is what I would call a high-level estimate. And unless we enter into an agreement where he's actually refining this, that number could get higher, right? So I would call $102,000 a low number. But that would theoretically include the construction documents, the bidding costs, and the materials and labor. However, we would still have to take this project out to bid. We can't just use this contractor. I would need to buy the construction documents from them, then pay to put the project out to bid again, hope that we get somebody to bid on it, and hope that what they bid is within our remaining budget.
What is the ceiling when you have to go to bid for the state, the statutory?
$25,000. So that would be for 3 rooms, which would seat up to 4 people. It would provide sound suppression, which is the goal, is to provide, places for groups to meet and also places for people to silently study, do Zoom calls, online classes, things like that. HVAC would be added into the rooms, lighting, 1 to 2 wall outlets.
Where were you putting those?
Well,
Just out of curiosity.
I say well because the other part of this project, which is a little frustrating, is I had identified a corner of the library that I considered underutilized, which is right, where the whole shelf is? Mm-hmm. If you go around the corner, there's a jobs board there, but it's basically an empty space.
Right.
And I really wanted to put it there. And I thought, keep in mind, I'm not a plumber, I thought I could just plunk the rooms there and pull the fire suppression from Jane's office and from the back staff area. I was like, let's just pull it this way. But they told me I have to pull it the tall way from the ceiling, the extra high part of the ceiling. I thought I could pull the electrical over from Jane's office, but they told me no. So anyway, so that would have cost $120,000 to actually put the rooms where I wanted to put them. I then asked them, we have a lower ceiling in the adult collection. I said, what if we squeeze them in over there? That was not my preferred area because I would be covering some of the windows over there and the heating register. And I don't yet know what their solutions are for that because I told them I want to preserve the natural light and obviously we need to reroute that HVAC so that the adult collection doesn't become a frozen tundra. And again, until I enter into a contract where I'm actually paying them, I couldn't get too many more details. So, I know, this doesn't sound really great. Option number 2. There's something that is becoming more frequent now in open concept office environments, and if you think about what our library is, it is a large open concept room, right? There's not a lot of dividers and walls. And they're called study room pods or office pods. We could purchase 3 to 4 units for around $75,000. Each unit can seat between 1 and 4 people, so similar size to our study rooms. They have soundproofing, up to 29 decibel reduction. I have sat in one. It really does work. They really are soundproof. Or not completely soundproof, but so much so that I would put them on par, if not greater, soundproofing than our current study rooms. There's ventilation built into the ceiling. There's little holes here. There's, what do you call it? Fans that are pulling in air. It has LED lighting. It has 2 power sockets built into this table here. And USB-A and USB-C ports, so people can charge like laptops and phones and things like that. These entire units are powered by a standard outlet. So.
Now, I didn't see anything on width, height, and depth.
Yep.
Are you agreeing that I didn't, or did I?
So, what I can tell you is the height is 87.4 inches, and that is about this.
Okay.
Okay. The width is, the width is this.
She's prepared.
This is the width, and then the depth.
What was that? Width?
86.
86? So 87
Like a
by
cube.
86?
Like a
Yep. It's a rectangular
Okay.
cube, and then the depth is 47. So this is where it may feel a little narrow.
And a tall person would perhaps have to duck, because you're at 72 inches for a 6-foot man, which should give you 15-inch clearance. So
I think they're cool. I really do.
So the question on your first picture of the study room, is the other side the same with 2 chairs and a desk type thing?
So I have to admit that photo was something I pulled off the internet out of laziness. I couldn't take photos because so many people were in our study rooms. So I just grabbed an example of what a built study room looks like off the internet. But given the location of where I would have to put these now, they would be rather shallow. I don't think they would be any deeper than these pods. And I kind of feel like probably 2, maybe 3 people would fit in them. They're not going to be very deep like the ones that we have now.
But when I would come in and study and have projects, that little table would not do it. You know, you spread stuff out, you have this book and that pile of stuff. I don't think that's practical at all.
It is a smaller table, so what I will say is, what we're noticing is, obviously people have different needs for going into these pods. Sometimes they're just here with a laptop. A lot of times in the study room,
I was going to say, people don't really have books and paperwork and stuff anymore.
Sometimes it's
They don't. My kids don't.
So,
computer.
I will agree with you, Barb, that not everyone's needs will be met by this room, right?
But even the looks of the seating there, you're sitting pretty close to somebody.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It looks like only one laptop would fit. Like if 2 people came both with a laptop, I don't know if they could both fit.
I think so. Like that's why I wanted to show you an example. You can fit 2 people in there. They claim 1 to 4 people. I would argue that 2 adults can fit. Hold on a second.
So those would be better though. Oh, shoot.
These are all.
Hold on, Tracy. I don't know. Maybe. Sorry, Tracy. Were you trying to speak? I think you didn't have the speaker turned on. Hold on, just 1 second, Tracy. Okay, I'm so sorry, Tracy. What were you saying?
Futuristic.
That's okay, I just have to leave.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you do.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, you too.
Yep, bye, Tracy.
Bye, Tracy.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
If you go back to the previous picture, I believe it is, where the one woman is sitting, it looks like you could fit a second laptop opposite of where she is.
I think if they were Chromebooks, definitely.
Oh, wait.
It doesn't come furnished, does it, Britt?
It does.
Oh, the furniture is included.
The furniture is fair, I mean, because the space is kind of proprietary in terms of, and small in terms of size. If I could, let me just.
Where did you go that you were in one?
I went to this company called Creative Interiors. The mayor actually knew someone in Muskego who works for Creative Interiors. And when I was telling my tale of woe about the study rooms, he was like, I know that they do building, and that's how I got the second contractor, an architect. I was able to talk to someone at Creative Interiors, and they were giving me that number, and then they said, if this is out of your budget, these pods are, around, you may want to consider it. And so I sat in one, not in a 4-person one, I sat in a single-person one, and I'll get to that in a second. Michelle has something to say. But I sat in a 4-person one, not this brand, but I sat in a 4-person one at the Burlington Library. Yes, Michelle.
Actually, I donated more that I was trying to get your attention for Tracy.
Oh, that's so nice of you. I'm sorry.
30 minutes ago. So glad you put the speaker on.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. And there's probably some chats. Oh, look at that, and there's chats and everything. Oh dear. Okay.
May I ask, since you're on this picture, this here, that almost looks like it's an advertisement, but is it not?
It's a skin. So they customized their pod.
Okay. Oh, so it's this company's pod.
So Framery is the name of the pod, but I think this is from University of Ohio, I think, and they had a custom skin put on it just to make it look.
So nobody's selling advertising on
Correct.
it. That's what I was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nope.
So have you kept track of the usage of the ones we have, whether 2 or 3 people or one are in those at all?
So they're always very busy. The need for study rooms came out of our last strategic plan in 2019. And if you saw the comments in the strategic planning process this time, because the patrons don't know we're trying to work on this, because I haven't wanted to update them until I had success, they still are asking for it. So I know it's a need. I would say, though, it's a mix. It really is. But I would say about half are meeting in groups and half are solo study. People who are there because they're working from home, they are taking an online class, they're having an exam proctored for themselves, and things like that.
Would there be any advantage to trying one?
Can you hold that thought for a second? Everyone remember Nancy's very important question, because I want to. Let me just show you a few more slides, and then I want to address that question.
I'd like to know if they're movable, too.
They are.
Yeah. I was just going to say, how much do they weigh, and can they be moved? Because if you've got a big children's thing you're expecting, and you need all that room, can they be moved?
They can be moved, but not necessarily in the spur of the moment like you're
And
suggesting.
you would not want patrons to be moving them.
Exactly. So
Right,
there are cheaper ones of these that you can buy.
They're not on
but they're
wheels or anything like.
Well, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are cheaper ones of these that you can buy, but they're so light that I would rather not have. There's the price you pay for sturdiness, right? Now you can buy a wheel kit for these. They are 1,389 pounds. The wheel kit helps you move them. The good news is, if you wanted them somewhere else, which is the value of something like this over a built study room, you can. You can decide, we're going to remove a couple of the adult shelving down the road, and it would be perfect to have some study rooms here. You can take your investment and move it. However, at 1,389 pounds, even with wheels, that's not me just putting my shoulder into it, right? That's more like me asking DPW to send a couple of guys over, and they'd be happy to do it, I'm sure, if I asked nicely, and I didn't do it every week, right?
Yeah.
But there is that possibility. Okay, so what I want to show you is this benefit analysis for the built study rooms. And what I want us to keep in mind, because I've been asking myself this the last couple of months, is what is the goal of this project? Because that's the important thing. The goal is to increase private and group study spaces. That's what the patrons have asked for in 2019. That's what they were asking for again in 2023. So, building study rooms, option 1, would meet that goal. I would say that building study rooms are easier to clean. You kind of have to get in, if you think about these, there's a little lip to step up into them. You basically need a little hand vac if you're going to vacuum the floor. And the furniture, you can't remove it. It's bolted in so that things aren't sliding around and whatnot. So I would say that a built study room is easier to clean. It's less proprietary, right? If the HVAC, or if the ventilation system breaks in this, how easy would it be for a random contractor or maintenance to crack this open and do it versus having the company do it? They do have a 5-year warranty, but it's proprietary, right? It's not quite the same as our random building that we would hire someone to do. The atmosphere is more like a traditional room. And so by that I mean, and I'll mention this when I do the analysis for the pods, I'm mildly claustrophobic.
I am too.
Yeah.
So, and you can see that they're trying to address that by all of the glass. I sat in there with one of my colleagues. We drove to Burlington. The library director let us in before they opened, and we sat in the pod, and I thought, this is not bad. I was expecting to feel more claustrophobic than I was. But there was something that felt a little different, and I was trying to put my finger on it, and finally I realized what it was. It's a soundproof pod, and you can absolutely breathe in it. Like, that's not a problem. There's ventilation, but because it is sealed, because it is, keeping things soundproof, it feels a little bit like you're in an airplane. Just the atmosphere. I don't want to say stale, but just, you're in a enclosed environment, and so it feels a little bit more like an airplane than
So,
when it's not in use, you can open that door, correct?
Yep.
what about the ventilation system with COVID and everything? Are you subjecting people to not as good an air quality as?
I mean, I would say that the HVAC system in a study room is probably more effective than the fans that are in this sealed space. But also, and this is just an estimate because I don't have construction documents, but my perception is that if we build the study rooms, they might be a little bit bigger than the pods. The drawbacks to build study rooms is over budget currently, so we need to find additional funds, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because it's all about weighing. There's no perfect solution. It's about looking at these options and then deciding what is the best solution for our patrons that is feasible, right? The project timeline would likely be later into 2024 because we would need to build construction documents, take the project out to bid, hope a contractor gets it, come into a contract agreement with the contractor, and then start the build whenever they're available. So, we would need to take it to bid again. The estimate, like I said, is a high-level estimate. And the only way to know what the final cost will be is to spend the money on the construction documents. And then we're on that path.
What did we ask for in capital budget?
75,000.
Yeah, so the number that is what was, okay, all right. So then there'd be a process in going back and getting more to.
Nope. I have that solution in a couple of slides. Well,
okay.
I mean, I have what the solution would be. Whether or not we should do it is a whole other question. Fire suppression, due to the cost for the fire suppression, the ideal location that I talked about is no longer possible. And I'm not overly fond of the disruptions to the existing space. Like I said, covering up those windows, even if it's pure glass, the HVAC, it's not clear to me that we would create an environment that I'm happy with. And I do think, even though they might be slightly bigger, I don't think the study rooms, we should not anticipate that these study rooms that would be the size of our current study rooms, they can't fit over there. Okay, study room pods. They, like the built study rooms, I believe meet the goal of increasing private and group study spaces. The soundproofing is effective. I was impressed by that. It does not require bidding, taking the project up to bid. This is not construction. You're purchasing furniture, basically. It's within budget. It has a 5-year warranty, just in case anything goes wrong. I did some comparisons to other companies that do pods. There was one that was higher than them, one that was lower. What I liked about this company is they have a 5-year warranty instead of a 3-year warranty, and usually the longer someone's warranty is, the more they feel like their product is going to hold up. There's a couple of other things that I like about this company too, but the project will, frankly, be accomplished faster because it's purchasing the units. It's not something that requires bidding, construction documents, and scheduling the contractor and construction. So,
I haven't been around teenagers in a long time, but I could imagine they're going to fight over these.
They love them.
They'd love them. Just, wow. I can just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I really like about them is that they fit into an underutilized space. The half wall that we have separating the children's and the adult area. Staff always know that I'm up to no good when I walk around with this because they don't know what I'm up to. These would fit perfectly along that wall. It's a half wall there. I've never felt like I could put like tables along that wall.
How many are you counting? One would fit perfectly?
3. Actually, 4 would.
4
would. 3, yeah.
What about the space where we have coffee on Friday mornings?
I don't want to take over that space. It's so perfect and quiet and beautiful.
You're right. You're right. It is.
Yeah.
But as far as blocking the windows, though, some of these have glass in the back too. So
they do.
Give a nice environment to the study room if you had to do it in front of a window. And if it's glass both ways, your sun's still going to come through there.
It's true. But actually, I think if you put them along the side wall, the little half-height wall, they don't block their heat register, which is along the west wall where the windows are.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do against the half-height wall. The fact that they're soundproof is perfect because the children's area is very noisy on that other side. And so if you're going to put a study table on the other side of that half-height, the fact that it's in a soundproof environment is perfect. They're the perfect depth where you still have a very nice aisle between the adult collection and the pods, whereas if you were to try to, you still have, it fits perfectly in that space.
Okay.
And also, there's outlets all along that half wall, so we don't have to pay for an electrician, we can just plug them in as we go along. And if we don't like them there, we just pop the wheels, I bring some donuts to someone in a different department, and they help me push them somewhere else.
I thought you were going to set them up on donuts.
No.
What happens to the resume area then? That will still stay wide open? That will all, you have no plans for that space at this point anyway? Okay.
No. Drawbacks, they're not as easy to clean. Like I said, the atmosphere is similar to being in an airplane, so I do think that there are certain patrons who will say, I don't prefer these, right? And so that it won't be something that they prefer. The library in Burlington said that theirs gets a ton of use.
Young people mostly have that.
Probably.
Feels like you're in a spaceship, right?
Yes.
So when you reserve one, do you pick the one you want to be in? Like if you're used to going in the same one all the time, can you say I want room number 3, whatever?
Or
do you just get whatever?
We'd have to think about that. People might just be able to walk into them to start. I think once we have as many as if we do get these, we'll have more than we've ever had before, so we might have to play around with that.
So we don't reserve now? It's just
we do actually.
Yeah. That's how this conversation started. I remember us talking about because there's so many people want to reserve and we don't have the space for
Other drawbacks, after the 5-year warranty ends, repairs would have to go through the company if it's something that's, like a panel broke, right? That's not something we can just easily retrofit.
But they're not proprietary to the interior company you talk to. There might be other companies that sell these same pods.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
but
so you could go to
yeah.
either company, I suppose.
It would be like when I mean proprietary, I mean like, let's say this is one of the study rooms. If someone accidentally kicks a hole through that wall, I can hire any carpenter to come.
Oh, I get that. Just saying, but there might be more than one company that handles this brand, so you would have the option of going to more than one company and getting costs, maybe.
I'm happy to report that they are to fire code. I just spoke with the fire inspector today. He and I have been going back and forth about the details of it, so that is good news. Oops, oh dear. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, and then lastly, I would say the pod's a little bit smaller than the built study rooms. I sat in it across from my colleague. They say it fits 1 to 4 people. I believe that's technically true. It would fit 4 toddlers, great. It would fit 4 teens.
Fingerprints, honey, you know.
It would fit 4 teens well. I would say adults, you could get 4 cozy adults who really like each other squeezed in there. But I would say more likely these would fit 2 people. But our smaller study rooms, the 2 in the middle, are more like 2 people study rooms anyway. They're a little bit tighter. Okay, so steps for options 1 and 2. If we continue to pursue the built study rooms, the next step is to design and purchase the construction documents, which are about $8,000. Determine the final cost of the project through those construction documents. Again, the estimate we think is $102,165. And then assess where those funds come from. Take the project to bid, and then if someone bids on the project and is within budget, we begin the project likely in 2024. And option 2, before I talk about the funding, is purchase the study room pods, test out the pods, which I've done, determine if the pods are compliant with fire code, which Phil confirmed this morning, and then purchase the pods. Where to find the money if we go with the built study rooms? The construction documents would be $8,000. I could find that in our operating budget, which is why I needed to bring this conversation to you guys now, because if we go the built study room route, it only helps our capital budget if we spend this $8,000 out of the operating funds, because then we can use the $75,000 that we have in the capital project fund to go towards the construction, which means we need to find
$50,000 more.
$19,165.
Okay.
So $8,000 in construction documents, $75,000 from the capital, and then left over of that $102,165 is this $19,165.
So we wouldn't go back.
Assuming, like you can't go.
Right.
I mean, I suppose you could spend $8,000 in construction documents, find out that the project would be even more expensive, consider the $8,000 as sunk cost, and then buy 2 pods. You could do that, 2 or 3 pods. The question is, then we just spent $8,000. But yes, so that is an option. We could buy the construction documents with the operating money, and then look at that, and then decide, do we want to move forward, or we can buy 3 pods with the capital money. We could do that. Obviously, if there is a consensus and a recommendation that I bring to you now that saves us $8,000, if we decide not to go with it, that's obviously ideal. Where would we find this extra money? If you look at packet page 11, this is something that I was actually putting into the strategic plan, or planned to, I don't know if I actually wrote it down. One of these years I was going to chat with you all about the Expansion Trust Fund, which has been here since the year 2000. It is leftover money from when the building was built. I think it is appropriate to consider those funds to continue to build onto the building. It's not like we're buying candy with it, right? And there is enough money to cover that, as long as the project estimate doesn't go too much above that $102,165. But if we go with option 2, then we don't spend $8,000 in construction documents out of our operating budget, and we can save that money for the parking lot, the roof, a sidewalk to connect to the amphitheater, things like that. But that would be the solution if that was the route, or a idea. I suppose we could try to fundraise too.
Am I correct here that what I think you're kind of asking us is, potentially are you going to do the time and effort to roll the dice on option 1, the build study rooms, when it didn't happen before, which you could do all of that and it could happen the same way as it did this first time, and then you're farther out? Or are you asking us to okay the study pods? I understand what you're presenting, but that I think is one positive also about the study pods, is you wouldn't have to run this risk of not getting anybody to bid on those study rooms again. So I don't know exactly what you would like from us at the moment.
I wanted to talk with you about it. One, because I know it's been a while since we've talked about the study rooms, and I kept telling you updates to come. And so I wanted to provide that update. I didn't want to just buy the study room pods because I felt
Without
like
giving it another shot?
I felt like when I spoke with you about this project, it sounded like we were going to build study rooms, which is true. And I didn't just want to go and buy these without coming back to chat with you guys about it again. I don't think, certainly it's not outside the scope of the funds. We said we were going to build or get study rooms for the library. I think this meets, the goal of the project. I'll be honest, when I first was thinking about this, I was very much against option 2. I was like, what if down the road they don't, what if they don't hold up, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a concern that I have, and I still have that concern. I don't want to just... Every investment we've made in this library has paid off, right? It's a beautiful library. It serves the public. I don't want to pick the, quote, cheaper route just because of that. But
How long have these pods been in existence? That is another, are they tried and true from somewhere else?
They've been around for years. I did email the state listserv and I asked if anyone had these. There was a library in Milwaukee that responded to me that they don't have this brand. They have a different brand, and they said their patrons love it. Burlington said their patrons love it.
But how long do they last? If they only been on the market a couple of years, so nobody really knows.
Exactly. Okay. So I don't have an answer for you on that. Okay. I wouldn't say I got a dense reply. So I was feeling, I wasn't high on them to begin with. I'll admit that sitting in them made me feel more appeased than I was expecting to. I could envision our patrons getting use out of them.
Especially the young people.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that if a patron walked in the building and said, I need a study room, I have a Zoom meeting, do I think they might choose our existing study rooms over the pod? Maybe.
I think that's age dependent.
It could be. But do I think that someone who might prefer that study room would take one of these if it was the only option? Absolutely, I do. I think it would meet their needs. If they needed a private space to meet with someone, to have a Zoom phone call, to do an online meeting, to proctor an exam, they would take this space.
I think one of the drawbacks would be the visibility of the person using it. Because I've walked by those a million times, and I never look in the window and see who's using those. Yeah. They'd be far more visible in a pod.
That could have a back on the pod.
That maybe it's a drawback.
I think that, so where staff is on the reference desk, it would be right down, like, where the new books are, they would just be past that along the wall. Now, admittedly, though, you wouldn't have sight lines because this part is solid, and this is the part that would be, I'm not going to turn them this way into the aisle where the glass is. And I also don't think patrons would want that. I don't think they want the fishbowl. So I actually think having one side against the wall provides them with a little bit of privacy, but it still has the glass to not make you feel like you're in an enclosed space. But I'm not too concerned about the fact that staff don't have sightlines to it, because if people want to go somewhere where they're not going to be seen, they're going to go into the west wall, deeper in the library, and that's where they're going to be. So, yeah, it's an interesting project. It has caused me much frustration. I mostly just because my expectations were this project was going to be easy, and I was very wrong about that. So if you had to ask me in this moment what my recommendation would be, I do believe the pods are our best solution based on budget, based on that it does meet the goal of the project, based on that the location we would put them would be perfect and not interfere with other structural elements of the building, like where we would have to put the built study rooms.
Yeah, that sounds like a real hassle. You've got all the heating, and you may have more expenses than you know with that.
Exactly. I am worried about that, yeah.
Just Googling them right now, they seem like all the rage at libraries and universities all over the place.
I can just see that age group fighting over them.
In colleges, all the libraries.
They're versatile.
Oh,
I know you have a lot of options you're not stuck with.
Yeah, is there, and I don't even know why I'm asking this question, but is there a price break the more you buy? No. Okay, they're all just a retail price and nothing after that, okay.
How
So I'm just thinking
many are you talking about buying with this? Or 4?
So I said 3 to 4. 3 would put us under budget, but if I spent a few $1,000s extra out of our operating budget, which I do have $8,000 set aside for construction documents. If I don't need that, I can put some of that, and then I can get a 4th pod. It's not a large pod. It is one of their single-person pods. If you thought these looked small, the other one might not appear. I can't find it. Here.
Have you looked at more than one company, or just the one?
I did.
She said one was higher, one was lower quality or price.
Quality.
So
It also sounds, this may be dumb, but
Ooh, yeah.
it also sounds similar. We're keeping
So
It's like a phone booth.
it is. It is like a phone booth.
Yeah.
What we've noticed is, though, sometimes people have phone calls to make, and it would be nice to offer like a quick in and out. This is actually a table that can raise and lower. And again, we have a lot of people who are just individually studying. And since it would be amazing to be able to get 4 instead of 3. I think it would get used since we have the money.
But one of them be a one person?
3 of them would be the
4-person.
the 4 people person, and then 3 of them would be this, and then one of them would be the single. Yes, Michelle.
Well, just a thought. What if 2 other options might be, what if we just started with 2 of the 4 people ones this year and see how next year and see how much they're used and how much people like them, and then we could try and budget for 2 more 4 people ones, like in 2025 or something?
So what I can do is I can ask the question to finance. So we have the capital funds this year. I already told them that based on trying to come to a decision on this project, we may need to roll over the funds to next year. We cannot roll over our operating budget, though. And because I wanted to use, well,
It'll probably be more expensive next year too.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
That is,
Yeah.
that is also
Yeah.
possible. The other thing is, and I would have to ask this question, right now we're paying for freight and delivery. I don't think there's a deal break on buying, like having them all shipped at the same time.
That's kind of was like, is there an economy of scale here that?
Not for purchasing
Not
like
for
the individual
purchasing,
units.
for
I
shipping.
don't know the answer to that. We certainly could test it out. I wouldn't want to extend our capital funding rollover beyond 2024 if I could help it. So.
What's the difference in price between the one and the single one and the?
What is the price difference?
Yeah.
13,000, about 6,000. And I looked at 4 other companies. They range in price. Some of them include furniture, some of them don't. Some of them, like I said, are lighter and seem a little bit more, I didn't sit in it, but it seemed a little bit more rickety, and that's the less expensive
You don't
ones.
need people toppling over and on.
I need sturdy ones. Some of them just, again, look higher quality or come with furniture or are slightly bigger.
Who did the Burlington Library use?
I don't know what the brand was, but I sat in it and I actually liked this one better.
Okay.
What about, for ADA compliance? These look like they're difficult.
These are not ADA accessible.
Yeah.
We don't need, and I don't mean this to sound off, we don't have to make them accessible. We have accessible study rooms and accessible study spaces. So, yeah.
Okay, it does.
In my mind, I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say, it says discussion/action. That's what I'm asking. What do you want from us?
Like I said, I just didn't want to go off and do my own thing and just have you guys be surprised if I waltzed in with these. So I guess I was just looking for an endorsement to go ahead. There is a little more vetting I want to do on one other company that's similar to this. But I guess what I'm looking for is, as long as you as a board are okay with the pods versus the built study rooms, and as long as I can stay within this budget, plus the little bit of operating that I hoped to use, I'm hoping I'll just get an endorsement from you guys to buy pods, whether it's this company or one of the other similar ones that I feel would meet the libraries and patrons.
Okay. So, and I don't even know the answer to this. Based on Robert's rules, can we do just hands, like in general vote for it, or do you want an actual vote?
Since it's discussion/action, I think it should be a vote too.
An actual vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, anything before we call for the vote?
I can honestly see the community saying the library's moving forward. This is modern, something really.
Yeah.
The library.
And yet it
we're
fits
with
the
it.
decor, I guess, too. It's not like so far out there. Can you get it in a color that like matches the interior, or is it going to be black and white? Which I'm fine with that, but it just.
Sure. There might be a couple of options, but that might start to cost.
Yeah, probably. You're probably
It looks like there's
okay.
different furniture,
All right.
different pictures too.
Yeah, so you can get different coverings. The furniture is pretty
No, you could do
basic.
the furniture. If that's not an extra.
I mean, everything's cost,
Yeah,
everything's
I
a
know.
slight upcharge, but,
Would our cleaning company be okay with cleaning these? Like getting in there and getting all that glass?
I would hope they would,
Yeah.
if we built study rooms, they would
that's
have a
what
ton
we
of glass
want.
in them
Right,
too, like our
that's true.
current ones, so I would just say, this is it.
These are our new study rooms.
Yep.
So
Right.
would you have the back be solid and not see-through then if you're putting it up against the
So,
wall?
yeah, the back, the top portion of this, because it's a half-height wall, there'd still be a little bit of glass, let's call it a skylight to be fancy, but then there'd be wall. I was kind of thinking, wouldn't it be kind of cool, and this is a down-the-road thing, if maybe that would make it feel more oppressive, but I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there could be like a skin of like a Muskego Lake So like,
Something like that.
That's adhered to the wall that it's up against, so you feel like you're sitting next to
Like a vinyl ring of some kind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or how about a painting? Because we have so much talent in the community.
Yeah.
If somebody would come in and
Yeah.
paint a Muskego.
But then I'm really parking it there forever. So it's a down the road thing, but there's certainly some things that we could do to make it fun to be in that pod. When I was at my other library, we painted each of our study rooms a different color. And this was the one time I delegated something. And I said, pick whatever color you want. And I came back and they were the brightest shades of Skittles that I'd ever seen. Bright yellow, bright orange, bright green. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are surprising. But it was college students, and they loved it. I would hear them all the time saying, I'm in the red room, I'm in the green room. So it might be fun to personalize these pods in a way. I could see people getting a kick out of that. And if we could tie it into Muskego in some way, I think that would be...
We could have like a
We could even make
contest.
that. Thank you.
Thank you, great minds think alike.
Name the pod.
Okay, all right, because I know we have a lot to cover here. Is there anything else? Okay, I'm assuming, based on hearing the tenor in the room, that I'd be asking for a motion to approve the pod concept. Is that a fair motion for you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the pod concept.
I so move.
Thank you, Nancy. A second?
Second.
Thank you. I think we've discussed this one.
I think so.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Michelle,
She said aye.
She did say aye, okay.
Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy them. I won't bring this before you again. We saw the budget. We saw, what the type of product will look like. Council will probably see it just because it's over 50,000. So any number over a certain amount due to our city purchasing policy just needs to go before council.
Okay. All right. I just hate to see you go over all that work.
I would
and
like
have-
to see them though.
Not have the
Go to the Burlington Library.
regular.
Well,
study.
no, but that's
Anyway, we're
not-
outside the motion vote, so, okay. All right.
Well, you get the idea.
No, but I'm saying,
doesn't know who
this
she's
can you
going
get a
with.
bigger table? Do you have options? There's probably different things you could do.
I mean, you can buy an empty pod without furniture and
for the
then try to
money,
find your
You
own.
can get whatever you want in there.
That's
Probably.
true. That's true.
I mean,
That's right. That's the way the world works.
I will get what the patrons want.
Okay, all right, thank you for all that effort, Brittany, really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Okay, so now the next item would be the discussion, no action. I see it, whoa, of the 2023 action plan year-end review.
All right, so throughout the year, I've been adding, one of my goals was to keep the board more up to date on the progress of the action plan before just this end of the year. So if you've noticed, my director reports have had updates on different elements, different goals of the strategic plan. So what I'm going to do to be respectful of everyone's time is I have coded whether the items are, and this is packet page 28, I put a key up there, whether they're completed, in progress, or deferred, and I put a code next to each of the goals, or action items. And I'll just take any questions that you have about any individual items.
I had a question on we're on the top of page 29, the second bullet, train the patrons and the staff on RFID circulation. I wrote the word time there. I must have been thinking, is that out of their workday? Is that out of their 8-hour workday, or is it how would that be managed?
So, I mean, when I say train patrons, I just mean we have to come up with signage and educational tools. When libraries have rolled out RFID, sometimes they stationed a staff member actually near the self-check during the first week just to be asking me about the self-check. Let me show you how to walk through it because it's new. So that's what I mean by train the patrons.
Okay.
For staff, it would be, just finding pockets of time. This group, you're available, you're here. It's within their work hours.
That's the only question I have. Oh, on page 30, I have a question by, it's on the first bullet, it says run a library staff engagement survey, and that was canceled.
Yeah. This was something the board had asked me to look into. We were going to build it into the strategic planning process since we were surveying everyone else. But one of the things that the board said, or you guys said, was check in with the city first and see if they're going to be doing anything. And we were just hiring human resources at the time. And the mayor said instead of the library running their own engagement, like at some point I'm sure there's going to be something done through the city instead of us just being our own little island and doing our own little thing. So it's canceled.
Yes.
Not that I don't care about staff engagement, and I always chat with, we have weekly staff meetings, we chat during our in-service, and then I take evals very seriously here. They're usually 45 minutes to an hour per staff member at the end of the year, and not only do we talk about goals, but how is their year going.
How often do you in-service?
Usually once a year. This year we had 1 in-service and 2 RFID taking days.
Okay.
So I would like to get back to twice a year, but I didn't want to do 2 in-services and 2 RFID taking days this year.
Okay. I have a couple, as usual. Hopefully we can breeze right through these. On page 29, investigate offering a winter market, and that's completed. I assume we're not doing it.
Yeah, we're not. It was this idea that frankly did not even come out of the strategic plan. It was an idea that I thought was brilliant at the time, but we investigated it. And there were so many other, like the Peppermint Fair and craft markets going on. I had it in my head that there was just someone that would bring a market to us, ready-made, but instead it seemed more and more like we would have to source like individual
kind of like
farmers,
the
vendors
outside, which also
that's too much time.
That's okay.
But with Jammin gone, maybe we could do something like that in the next calendar year that would highlight just the library.
Like a market.
Yeah.
Well, we're still going to be doing a summer reading kickoff program.
Okay.
Let's call it mini Jammin.
Okay.
The staff are in the midst of designing it, but we're still going to do a summer reading kickoff. There's still going to be Gino. We're going to have face painting. The friends are going to sell books. We can still run our things.
Okay.
And then on page 30, I also circled, it would be in the second group, review all Muskego library fees, fine structure, and loan periods. I'd like to see that almost be like an agenda item at some point because, we're not really, I see that we're running at a loss every year, which, we kind of talked about and everything, that maybe we make a final decision about what to do about those topics, about fines and...
Well, we did review them on the agenda. It was the libraries,
But we kept them in. I thought it was a question at the time of whether getting rid of them entirely or whatever, so...
Oh, that did not come up for debate. I think that... Let me pull this up. So what we discussed, and when I say we reviewed the fine structure and loan periods, the policy on fines and charges, this was the policy that the board reviewed and approved in June of 2023.
I mean, I do remember that, but I'm saying it's always running, when you look at the financials, we're never going to make budget on it. So that's why I'm just wondering if we shouldn't review in that regard, lower the amount or...
We did. So the 2024 operating, not in 2023, the 2024 operating budget has a lower revenue projection for fines.
Never mind. Okay.
Yep.
Is there any where you could bring in the welcome package for new library card holders? Just bring one in, one at a meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. That's a good one for board education next month.
Okay.
I like that.
On page 31, just for your own, you've got a red dot instead of a black one. That's number 2.
There is
You
something,
saw that?
I
Okay,
can't
sorry.
change it. I have tried. It's so
It's a
frustrating.
formatting. So
It is,
yeah,
and
you
we'll never have
published
to see this document again, so.
it. All right. I think
Feel that big.
support principal library in developing a membership campaign. The last one on 31, it's deferred. So
Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we were doing fundraising and with the donor wall so much this year, we just haven't had time to talk membership
Okay.
campaign.
Yeah.
But I do want to.
I know that's important.
Mm-hmm, yep,
So-
you are correct.
Okay.
While we're talking about FOL though, are they always going to have that limited space for their book sale? That is so crowded right there.
It is
What a
crowded.
shame.
You know what though? I will ask Carol. I will let them know that the board inquired about like the size of it. I don't think the size bothers them. I mean, they have a cabinet next to it, just as big, that they have storage. They like to cycle things out. Sometimes they don't have, a lot of depth, and then they have to ask for more. So I will ask them if they're hurting for space, but honestly, that is such prime real estate, I don't think they'd ever want to move.
Well, I
Because
don't think
people-
they'd want to move.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what about, I had the privilege of going into the back room and seeing what they had, because I was looking for DVDs for a donation
yep.
or something. They don't have a lot of stuff back there. Is there another storage other than that one?
So the one over there, yep, so they have that one room,
Yeah.
and then they have the closet cabinet, which are the locked, closed doors to
Oh, I
the
get-
left of the shelves.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Its depth is probably the depth of maybe half of this table,
Mhm.
and they just have books and boxes in it.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could spare more storage, but we also have a storage problem.
I was just going to say, we already have a storage.
Yeah, obviously,
We do.
yeah, you read this, we have a big storage problem. Okay, all right. Anything else on this topic, or we move on to the next one? Well done, you got more completed than your stuff, so. Okay, the last item is discussion, no action, just to review the draft of the strategic plan going forward.
Okay, it's 6:13, and again, I do want to be mindful of the time, so this is just a discussion because this is the first draft. It has gone through strategic planning committee. We reviewed a lot of statistics. I pulled out some high-level summaries. This is just a snapshot of what strategic planning all went through, just so that you know that this plan is based on data and patron feedback and not just on me being bored one day and typing things up. So,
Or a wish list.
yeah, or a wish list, right. So there's plenty more data. I did send a link to the full data summary. So if you ever want to read all the data, you certainly can. So let me ask you this. It is 6:14. Would you like me to go over the PowerPoint slides and then just take about 10 minutes of questions from the dense document, and then anyone who has questions in between now and next month can reach out to me? Do you not even want me to go over the PowerPoint? Do you just want to, you've heard my summary and now you want to leave? What would you like me to do? What would help serve you best as you assess this document?
I'm open.
I would like to leave. Personally, I'm watching my clock here.
Yep.
I can't stay much longer.
Could we just discuss something at the bottom of page 32? You have all of the community stakeholders.
Oh, we're back on the.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the previous document.
Yeah, I'm sorry to go back, but
Yep.
I did write in here when I first read this. We're reaching out, our outreach is great, but you don't do any churches. And I'm familiar with a lot of the churches in town, and they all have a little kiosk or something where you can advertise. And
Yeah.
we don't do that with any of our churches.
Feel like we don't put flyers up in them? That's a good point. Because I know we work with St. Paul's quite a bit on the thing about.
That's a
Yeah.
Wood, St. Paul's Wood, St. Leonard's Wood,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Tolman probably would. Or does. we have that little thing around the corner.
All right.
Okay,
Any other questions?
So are you cold or are you leaving?
No, I was cold.
So, and Michelle, is she still there?
Michelle's, she's on the line.
You have an opinion? Michelle, you're the chair of the committee, so, as far as you want us to kind of go over everything and.
I think it's up to you. I don't know how much you were able to read ahead of this meeting or skim through it.
Well, I found it interesting, but somewhat self-explanatory
We needed to
at the
read,
same
I think
time.
of condensing down all the data and,
Well,
it's kind of up to you guys, I don't know.
It seemed pretty clear,
I mean,
what I looked at.
I found it clear and self-explanatory, and I'd say with all the things listed, I said to Brittany before, I'm amazed my head is still on my neck. It was spinning with all the different things on the list that, you guys thought of and that we need to do and all those kinds of things. Very inclusive. You guys did a fabulous job. So.
I agree. And the check is in the mail.
For $0. Anyone? What's your preference?
I think it's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
Are we having to vote? We're not voting.
No,
We're
it's just we
getting a
vote
product of what's
next
going on.
month, so this is the time to ask questions.
So,
Well, I think it would be good, though, to really, I'd like to study it more. There's a lot of information. So I would prefer having another month.
So a preference for study, and then what we'll do is we'll put the motion on the floor next month, and then we'll have the
Sure.
discussion then.
Right.
Is that, everybody okay with that?
I will make it a discussion action next month. I encourage you to look it over. If you have any individual questions, things especially that might seem like really big, let me know, and I will.
Ahead of time.
Yeah, it would be helpful because if you have the question, maybe others do, and I could possibly prepare.
Let me ask you this, maybe this would be a good start. Is there anything like in the data and whatever that really surprised you, or that, let's say that, it's a new avenue we're going down, so we should concentrate on something of that nature?
One of the things that came up, if you look at packet page 38, is just how much people still value in-person services. Not only the print collection, but the building itself. So, sometimes I get that joke, do people still read anymore? Sometimes I get the joke, do people even come to the library? They're probably just using ebooks and not coming into the building. To me, this slide and other comments and feedback that you see about why people have come to the library in the last 6 months on page 39, it's because they're reading, right? And it's because they're coming to the building, and they still prefer to come to the building. Is our electronic usage up? Of course it's up. It absolutely is. But it is worth investing in this building. And so I do think that's a call-out. One of the other call-outs is how well-loved the staff are. There's lots of kind comments about how much people appreciate the staff. So I think that's important to note as well. We can talk about this more next month, but there was a question about Sunday hours if you'll see packet page 41, 90% are satisfied with our hours, and that's up from the last time we asked that question in 2019. I did chat with staff, management team. We tried to put together what some schedules would look like, and just really high level, having to stretch staff across an additional weekend weekend day would be very hard. Part-time staff would be working 6 days in a row, or 6 days out of the 7. Full-time staff would have to leave early on Thursday, not come in on Friday, but then work Saturday and Sunday, because Sundays would only be a partial day, so it would be their schedule would be really messy. Sunday's time and a half for wages. So when you're looking at time and a half and utilities, extra day for a cleaning company, housekeeping supplies, and just the chaos that the schedule would bring, I asked, we're very thin at circulation. We don't need an extra person, but we also, having to cover an extra shift would be tricky. I had them do the math. Right now, if someone is sick, we're fine in that department. If someone's on vacation, we're fine. But if someone is sick and someone's on vacation, we're in trouble. Then we go to what I call emergency coverage. We had at least 31 coverages this year that were not planned, emergency coverages that the managers had to cover, because if more than one variable occurs, and if we add an extra shift, we're pulling one more person off of a shift, 4 people off of that shift. So I think that the impact there is high, given that 90% of people are satisfied. We're a medium-sized library. Not that I like to punt things to New Berlin, but given that we are a medium-sized library, given that we have 15 minutes away within our system a library that has Sunday hours, that's larger, people can study there, they can use their library card there, I don't think it's worth the cost.
No, I'm against it totally anyway.
I can answer more questions about that next month too, but I just wanted to float those initial thoughts by you. And that's what I have.
Okay. All right. So we then. No, I don't see any communications, and miscellaneous business is authorized by law unless someone here has anything. Hearing nothing, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Everybody's excited to leave. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, ladies, let's do lunch and a field trip to the Burlington Library.
All right.
Watch your forum. Watch your forum.
It's the same thing though.
It's just the concept. I just want to get the idea of the concept.
Yeah.
Bye, Michelle. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you for everything.